So, good evening again. We are back to the Spirit book. And last week, we started on chapter 2 of book 2, which is the soul. We discussed a little bit. We went over some questions. Just a reminder that according to Spiritism, the soul is an incarnated spirit. A spirit that is in the spiritual world is a wandering spirit or errant spirit, according to Spiritism. You will find different definitions of soul outside Spiritism, and they are all fine according to their beliefs and understanding. So, but when we talk about soul in Spiritism, we talk about an incarnated body, okay? So we stopped on question 139 and actually 140. We're going to start on question 141. Okay, Philip?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any truth to the belief that the soul is outside the body and surrounds it? The soul is not locked inside the body like a bird in a cage. It radiates in all directions and manifests itself outside the body as light radiates from a glass globe or as sound emanates from a loudspeaker. In this sense, the soul can be understood as being outside the body, but it does not envelope the body. The soul has two envelopes, the perispirit, which is the first innermost envelope, being light and subtle in nature. The other is the body, which is crude, material, and heavy. The soul is the center of both these envelopes, like a nut in its shell, as we already explained.
Okay, so that's something that we are always asking ourselves.
Mhm.
Where are we, the soul, and where is our perispirit in relation to our physical body? So we understand and can see and can touch our physical body, but we question where are we, and the notion that we brought from centuries is that we are inside our physical body, we, the spirit, and our perispirit surrounds our physical body. And both of these assertions are not correct, okay? The spirit, it's not inside the physical body, it's not outside the physical body, because to be inside or outside, it would have to be material or physical. And the spirit is not material and it's not physical. The spirit acts over the perispirit, that is in the intermediate between the spirit and the physical body. And the perispirit also is not inside or outside the physical body. The perispirit is in close contact with the physical body, connected, as we studied, molecule by molecule with the physical body, but it's not enveloping the physical body. When we see people that look at the aura and think that that's the perispirit, they illuminate that aura, it is not. Okay, so basically the perispirit is connected to the physical body. It's not enveloping it, surrounding it, or not inside of it. It's connected to it, okay? And the spirit, it's not the physical body, and it's not the perispirit, and it's not anywhere that we need a physical material definition to locate it, right? And the spirit, it's not physical, it's not material, so it's not located in the sense that we understand. Okay, sounds complicated, but it's not that much. It's simple. It's as long as we understand the concept that the physical and the spiritual body are in different planes of existence connected to each other, and the spirit commands both on the physical body through the perispirit. Okay?
I have a question.
Sure.
My question, I guess I'm missing something, Joao, because I don't see the relevance of this question. You know, like to be a typical New Yorker, why do I care what the soul is when it relates to the body or the spirit? The soul is, period. And am I making sense? Not that I want to put it down, it's that I don't see the relevance in me finding out where the soul is in the body or the spirit.
Yes, you are right, but it has been a question that has been asked for centuries, right?
Say that again. Say that again.
It has been a question that has been asked for centuries. Where, you know, this let's talk outside spiritism. Where is our spirit? Is inside our head, inside our body? It's outside. We discuss this, philosophers discuss this. So it is valid, it's a valid question that Kardec has to ask the spirits. I agree with you. Okay. Is it relevant? No, it's not. If it's not important to you, fine, it's not relevant.
Okay.
But
okay.
It is relevant to many people. That's why it has to be there.
Yeah, okay. But it's not far-fetched what I'm saying. Okay.
No. I agree with you. It's you know.
Okay. I thought it was
theoretically it shouldn't be relevant, but it is for many people. So we have to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I thought I was kind of off the path.
Okay.
I think the other side of the coin. I am extremely curious to the relationship of the perispirit and the physical body. I'm always very integrated by that. If there is a correlation organ by organ, perispirit to physical body, I'm very curious to understand how does it work. You have, let's say, liver, a tridimensional organ, and how does it, what is the relationship of the part of the perispirit that deals with, say, with the liver? To me, it's very interesting. Where is it? Where is the perispirit right there that has that relationship with the physical body? I think the other side of the coin, I think your point is very good. It doesn't really matter. But for me, I'm extremely curious to see the relationship, how does the interaction, that back and forth between the physical and the spiritual functions.
Okay. But that's, I think you're looking at it from your, I guess your professional line of work has to do that with that inquiry, Elmo. Your I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably your
but
career, your interest, your vocation has to do with it. Okay.
Yeah, but my
I understand, Melmo.
Yeah, but my point is, Kardec need to address this. If you want completeness of his work, he needs to address the subject.
No, I agree with, because that's what you all said, that it has to be addressed because it's a question that's been questioned, it's been asked. Yeah, that I agree now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Daniela.
So the text says there's the soul, the spirit, right? And the perispirit and the body not necessarily surrounds it or surrounds it.
No,
like
it does not.
Does not. But perispirit is matter, right?
Yes.
So it occupies a space.
Yes. But in different planes of existence, right?
Not here.
Yeah, because you know, if there is a spirit there in your house next to you, you're not seeing it. It's there. It's a different plane of existence, and our perispirit is also a different plane of existence, right? We're incarnated, but so our physical body is here, but
The perispirit is also here, but or not? It's not here. It's here.
It's here, but it's in
Absolutely.
a different plane of existence, right? And that's very hard for us to understand, because we think that as the spiritual world as a separate plane, and it's not a separate, it's integrated. The spirits tells us that it's all integrated, but it's a different vibrational level. I don't know what you want to, you know, how do you want to say it, but it is it's not the same physical plane that we are. And so and for us, we tend to think of the physical body, and we want to put the perispirit in the same dimension as the physical body. That's where we come with surrounding or link, you know, but it's not the same, right? So it's connected to the physical body, but through the millions of cords, right, molecule to molecule, as they say, but it's not enveloping it or surrounding it, or it's, you know,
So at night, when I'm go to the spirit world, or I leave my body for the night while I sleep, and I'm dreaming, or I might be leaving things there, that's my perispirit that's there.
Yes, exactly.
So can I say that when I come back to and I wake up, like I'm here, I mean this plane, this realm, like the material dimension,
yeah,
is my perispirit also back there? Could be still be there?
No, because it's all one thing, right? In a
one
sense.
thing. So it's
spirit
together.
It's one spirit. The spirit cannot divide itself. So when you are there and experiencing the spiritual world, you, the spirit, with your perispirit, your physical body, it's asleep. It's not. It's besides their normal functions, the physical body is not doing anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not possible that when you come back, your physical body awakes and the perispirit is not there. It has to be together, united, because it's only one you.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to transcend to dimension. not the physical division, but like different dimensions, because as you're saying, it's one thing. So I could be in the two, I am in the two dimensions at the same time, since spirits are here too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So my question was more like my perispirit could be in the other dimension, while my body like seen as in that dimension, but not my physical body. But no.
Well, think of you as a medium, right? You are a medium. When you are in a trance, what happens? The perispirit dislocates a little bit from your physical body and enters into contact with the perispirit of the spirit that is communicating, right? So there you see the different, that's where you see that the perispirit is in a different dimension, because the perispirit enters into contact with another perispirit. They are both in the spiritual world. But it's you here in the physical world in a trance state. So, you know, your perispirit is connected to you, and but it's not in the physical realm. Okay.
Yeah, I understood better with this example. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know, Elmo, if you can help a little bit to try to a different perspective.
I think the example of a medium in a state of trance is a very good one. That when we are in our fully conscious state doing our work or taking care of the house or something, that the integration of the perispirit and the physical body is very compact, is very tight, right? At the moment of it, and although the perispirit transit between the physical and the spiritual according to the need of the person, when you are really conscious, the perispirit is more to the material side because you are very much in need of it. Okay, and when you are in a state of trance, there is a little bit of separation in which you can see a much clearer delineation between the two dimensions. So much so that you, the spirit, with your perispirit, they can interact with discarnate spirits. Then you can see a much clearer delineation. But when you are in conscious functioning in the material, doing your work, then you cannot see the delineation anymore. Although there got to be some kind of delineation, right? Because the spirit lives in the spiritual world. It's very hard to separate when you are conscious like we right now here, and we should be fully integrated. That delineation is perhaps not perceivable as it is when a spirit, when the medium is in a state of trance, or when we sleep. That the sleeping is a great, and dreaming, that is also a great example.
Okay. Yeah, it's, it's complex, but at the same time it's simple. The problem is that we have for us to understand that the spiritual world and the physical world are integrated, but they're different dimensions. That's the hard part, I think, right? And we are here in the physical world, and our perispirit is not. That's also, it complicates a little bit, but that's the reality, right? And so, okay, let's move on if no one has any other questions.
142. What should we think of the theory that the soul of a child is completed during each period of human life? There is only one spirit, and it is whole in both children and adults. The bodily organs, which serve as the instruments of manifestations of the soul, are gradually developed and completed. Again, you mistake the effect for the cause.
Okay, so this theory is the theory of those that believe that we are born, we are created when we are born, right? Or when we are conceived. So in that sense, if you believe in that, of course, the soul of a child is completed in the sense that as the child grows, the soul is being more and more complete. But in Spiritism, we know that we are eternal spirits, a new reincarnation. The spirit is fully formed. What is not formed is the physical body. So the perispirit of a child is a perispirit of a child, because the perispirit is a reflection, the physical body is a reflection of perispirit, but the spirit is not developing or is not being completed. The spirit is there. It's an eternal spirit. It existed before the child and will exist after the incarnation. So the theory, again, we are confusing the effect for the cause, meaning the physical body gradually develops and grows and completes, but the spirit is there already from the beginning, right? Of course, with the limitations that an incarnation causes on a spirit, which is the limitations of not remembering previous existences, the limitations that the physical body imposes on the perispirit to fully on the perispirit and the spirit to fully express itself, right? But the theory that it's the soul is completed growing doesn't make any sense. Okay. All right. Next.
Why do spirits have different definitions for the term soul? All spirits are not equally enlightened in regard to these matters. Some spirits are not so advanced intellectually. They are incapable of digesting abstract concepts. They are like children in your world. Other spirits are false scholars and ineffectively use words to impose their authority upon others. They also resemble many individuals in your world. Even spirits who are truly enlightened may express themselves in terms that on the surface appear to be different, but at heart, they actually mean the same thing. This is especially true in regard to matters that your language fails to accurately express, and that can only be conveyed through figures and comparisons that you in turn misinterpret as reality.
Okay. Again, we discussed this a lot. The term soul, why we have different definitions. We have different definitions here in the physical world. Different religions and different philosophies have different definitions. And of course, the spirits are going to have different definitions also. Because if a spirit of a very religious Catholic person discarnates and gives a communication, they are going to give the definition of soul according to their beliefs, their understanding, according to the definition of the Catholic Church, right? So it will be a different definition. Again, the spirits are just us on the other side. Our opinions and our ideas do not change in principle because we went back to the spiritual world. So, you know, we discussed that there are different definitions of soul, and we just have to live with that. We accept that different people have, and even different spirits have different definitions. But what's important is for us to use the definition according to our understanding and what's easier for us to communicate to each other in our studies. Okay, and we have Eric asked for related to previous questions. Somewhere in time, the spirit was created. Yes. So you were talking about, you know, the comparison that the child is developing, but the spirit is not. But again, we are trying to put the spirit in terms of our material physical understanding, and the spirit is not. So the spiritual principle that starts the evolution when it's created, and we don't know about the creation, that's God's creation, goes through the different phases until it becomes an individual spirit, and then evolves morally and intellectually and develops free will. So the spirit is developing at all times, but that's the development of the spirit doesn't have anything to do with the development of a physical body growing. One thing is, it's not related to the other. The spirit is always progressing, as we learn in Spiritism. There is always progress, moral and intellectual. Even if it's imperceptible, there is progress. So the spirit is progressing, yes, during an incarnation, but it's not related to the development of the physical body of a child, as they were discussing in the previous questions, okay? All right. And this one, well, definition of the soul, we talked about it a lot, so I don't think we need to discuss it a little more. Let's go to the next one.
144. What should we understand of the concept called the soul of the world? It is the universal principle of life and intelligence from which individual spirits are born. People often use these terms without truly knowing what they mean. The word soul is so variable that everyone interprets it according to their own perceptions and ideas. Sometimes a soul is attributed to the earth, which must be understood as indicating the collection of devoted spirits who give you proper guidance when you listen to them and who are God's deputies in your world.
Okay, so I went and did some research on this expression "soul of the world" because I never heard of it, and I only had hear what the spirits told us. And what I found, which was very interesting, is in that famous book from the Brazilian author Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. The novel reveals that the soul of the world is actually an interconnectedness between living and non-living things that all have a divine connection, meaning everything comes from God. I think that what he wanted to say here. But that's a pantheistic view, which promotes the belief that all things are part of God. And that's the what permeates The Alchemist. It's in Spiritism, we have a different understanding. We are not all part of God. We are all part of God's creation. God created everything, including us and the universe, and we are all part of this creation. But we are not one with God. So here, when we talk about the soul of the world, again, you begin with a problem with the word soul, because the word soul is used for so many different things. And if we call the creator, the universal principle of life and intelligence, from which individual spirits are born, we call soul of the world, and then it's fine. But again, I think it's a problem with words. And we are all part of the creation. We are not the creator, and we are not part of the creator. I think that's easier for us to understand and to discuss here, because otherwise we start moving into different avenues, and it makes very hard for us to put the focus in understanding according to Spiritism. Okay, so again, it's used here in this question, it's not used again. So if you forget about the question, not a big problem. If you find it out there, the definition of soul of the world, people talking about it. And if you read the book The Alchemist, I remember reading it a long time ago. I remember nothing about it, but I didn't even remember that they had this definition. Okay, questions, comments? Oh, okay.
145. How have so many philosophers from both ancient and modern times discussed psychological questions for so long without arriving at the truth? Those persons were the predecessors of Spiritism. They have paved the way for others. They were subject to errors and often mistook their own ideas for true light because they were human beings. But these same errors have served truth by showcasing the pros and cons of the argument. Additionally, there are many truths among these errors that a comparative study would reveal to you.
Here, what Kardec is asking is, from ancient times, we've been discussing psychological questions and why we never arrive to the truth. And the spirits tell us this is all an evolution, right? This is all the learning process. We are going to learn and studying and making errors, and that's how our progress works, right? When people say that famous phrase, "I stand on the shoulders of giants," if they haven't started there in ancient times, we wouldn't be here. We need all this this building of knowledge, of errors and truths, to arrive to where we are today. And where we are today is just building something also for the future, because I can guarantee you that in 500 years, people will look back at us, or we will look back at us in the new incarnation and say, how these people knew so little? How could these people could make so many mistakes? And so that's the progress. The intellectual and moral progress is built on this process of learning, of making mistakes, and of learning from our mistakes, and building on our learning. Okay. And we go again to the soul in the body.
146. Does the soul have a fixed center in the body? No, but it is said to reside in the head among people of great intellect and prolific thinkers, while it is said to reside in the heart of people who are sentimental and possessive of a more humanitarian nature. What should we think of the opinion that the soul is in some vital center? That is to say, that the spirit may reside in this spot in your body because it is where all sensations meet. However, those who place it in what they consider the center of vitality mistake it for the vital fluid or principle. In any case, the soul has a stronger presence in organs that are moral and intellectual indicators.
Okay. This is kind of a confusing question, in my opinion. I try to reflect on it, and I don't know if people think that the soul has a fixed place in the body. What I can say is that, of course, as the spirits, what the spirits tells us here is that when we are more focused on our intellectual abilities, when we are, for the scientists, for those that are using their minds to build things, you can say that the soul is more there than the rest. And for people that are more dedicated to art or to help others, to practice charity, that are more focused on the moral aspect of our evolution, that the soul is more stronger in the heart. Again, I still have some trouble with those definitions, because I think that the soul is neither here nor there. We have a physical and spiritual body, then we act over the physical and spiritual body. So our focus may be on the heart, on the brain, but doesn't mean that the soul is there. And the second part, of course, we shouldn't mix vital fluid, vital center with the soul, right? Because the vital fluid is what makes our physical body works, what gives us life, but it's not where the soul is, right? The soul is in command of everything. I don't know, Elmo, if you have something more intelligent to say about this.
I was just thinking here, how many times have we done this book together? I'm thinking, did I ever seen this question before? Is it a new question? I don't remember ever seeing this before. And how many times have we done this together? Like the fourth time, I think. It's very complex. And I think the problem lies exactly that people associated the soul as being the center of vitality of the physical body, which is a mistake. We know that the body to to be alive, or for anything to be alive, has to have a connection to the spirit. The physical body has to be a connection to the spirit. Once all the ties of the spirit to the physical body is cut, the physical body cannot support life. But that does not mean that the soul is a vital center. And people make those correlations, so they will make correlations in some cultures. The soul is in the heart because the heart is the most important thing. There are other cultures that the soul is in the liver, actually, because the liver is the biggest organ. So some people in some cultures will say, I give you my heart, you know, as an expression of love. In some cultures, people say, I give you my liver as an expression of, because they associated those organs as where the soul resides, which obvious is an error in according to Spiritism, of course.
Renato made a comment here that is interesting, right? That because the relation with the pineal gland or corona chakra, people associate with the head. Yeah, we act with our brains, right? Our brain is the function that makes our physical body works, right? And our thought process and everything. So it makes sense to think that, for me, that the soul would be associated with the brain more than other things. But again, I prefer not to go there. I prefer to put the soul associated with the whole physical and spiritual body. Okay. Wait, Daniela, yes.
I don't think I understand. So it depends.
What?
It depends where. So as by the answer from the spirits, it depends how. I don't know. I don't think I understand. Like
I
know it's
what the spirits say
for the
here is
first time.
it is sad. They are not saying it. They are saying
Right.
it is sad. It's not what they are saying, and that's important.
Mm,
Okay, so
Okay.
people say that the soul resides in the head among people of great intelligence, and people say that the soul resides in the heart of people who are more sentimental, possess a more humanitarian nature. So you may agree with people or may disagree with people. And so I don't think the spirits are telling what it is. They are just telling what people say.
So they're
And,
saying no, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yes,
Mhm.
Carol.
I think you had mentioned it, John. I think, as I recall, and I may not be quoting this correctly, but I think Julio used to use the word the soul or spirit, as we would use it, is associated with the body, period. And that I recall that, but maybe if others could
Yeah,
help on that.
I like that definition.
It helps
Yeah.
me anyway. I
Yeah.
sort of refer to that myself to remind myself. So then the task of sorting it out becomes a little calmer and clearer for me anyway.
Yeah, no, and but going back to the question, if you think that a genius uses its brain much more than a regular person, you can say that the soul is more associated with the brain of that person. You can say that. I don't like it, but you can, and you can understand. You can think. Mother Teresa's soul was more in her heart than in the rest. In their brain. I would accept that, but I'm not. I prefer what Julio says and what I say. The soul is associated with the physical and spiritual body, and that's it.
Yeah, going back to the question, it says, does the soul have a fixed center in the body? And the answer is no, period.
Yeah.
And they say, but some people say all kinds of things. And naturally, those kinds of things are very minimalistic. It's minimizing the extension of the soul or the incarnated spirit. It's putting the soul into boxes. You know, for the more intellectual, the boxes they had. For the more emotional or sentimental, the boxes is the heart, which is minimizing us, because even the geniuses who use a lot of the heart, they also have emotions, they also have sentiments, they also love, and you know the complexity, the integration of the human being, of the human, of the spirit. That's, you have to think in a more integral sense. So what the spirits are telling you is no, period. The soul does not have a fixed center in the body. You have to think of it in the integral being. But people like to break things down for whatever reason, because we like to put things into boxes. And that's not something that Julius always keeps says, do not put things into boxes. The soul does not belong in a box. You have to maintain the integral being that we are. Intellectual, emotional, sentimental, and everything together.
Yeah, you stress a good point. The answer here is no, and the rest is just yeah, could be the shortest answer in the Spirit's book, right?
Yeah.
Shortest answer is the one that says Jesus, but this one could be the shortest one. No.
I agree.
All right. So from the soul, we move to materialism.
Number 147.
Yeah.
Why do anatomists and physiologists and those who study natural sciences generally accept materialism? Physiologists relate everything to their senses. Human pride fancies knowing everything and refuses to admit that there are things that transcend human intelligence. Science itself even spawns arrogance, since scientists think that nature can hide nothing from them.
Okay. So, of course, we know that science separated itself from religion in the beginning of the 19th century. And for those that missed Sunday's class, I found out that even the word scientist was a word created in 1833. It did not exist before 1833. The so-called scientists were called about the word. It was something related to philosophy, but it was not scientists. It was a term coined in 1833. So the scientists and everything related to the scientists, all the other professions, when they moved away from religion, when they freed themselves from religion, they moved to the other extreme, denying everything that that religion imposed on them throughout the centuries. And Spiritism came to find the middle ground between the two extremes, the religious and the scientific extremes, allowing us to unite science and religion and work with both, plus philosophy. I received a very interesting link today of more than 200 high-profile scientists, Nobel Prize winners, mathematicians, psychologists, philosophers, writers, and artists that believed in paranormal, in the psychical phenomena in different forms. And you will find there names like Marie Curie, Albert Einstein, and other famous, Max Planck, Charles Richer, that we know that he created the Meta-Psychic Society, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the famous Nobel Prize winner in literature, and you go on and on. Of course, Sir William Crookes, right? That the famous chemist, physicist, and inventor. And it goes on and on and on the list. Mathematicians, psychologists, scientists. So all of them in one way or another, and there is a link to a work for each one of them that has some form of writings or connections to what's it called psi, right? Which is the parapsychology. Even Sigmund Freud wrote something about it. So, you know, the more they try to run away from it, they ended up having to deal with it in one form or another. And again, we know that the so-called serious scientific magazines would not publish anything spiritually related these days, because according, I remember Julio saying that the top ranked scientific magazines, if they published anything linked to spirituality, they will lose credibility. So they just reject it for fear of losing credibility. But outside the mainstream, you have a lot of scientists that do the research and get involved with what's so-called parapsychology, right? So, you know, as we progress and we have unanswered questions, they will have to find the answers. And scientists, our world science has to do with something that you can experiment and you can repeat the experiment. And anything related to the spiritual world, you cannot experiment, because it doesn't depend on you, on some physical matter for you to experiment. So that way, they just put it aside. And many of them, even if they secretly believe in something, they will tell that they are materialists, because that's how they are accepted within the community. And you know, we cannot say that it's 100% bad, because of their refusal in accepting anything beyond the physical nature, they will have to continue working hard on the experiments. And if they start accepting spiritual things, it may harm the research that they do on the physical things. So again, doesn't change the fact that the vast majority of the population in the world still believes in spirituality, are spiritualists, in the sense that they believe that there is something else beyond the physical body. There is a minority that are materialists and do not believe in anything spiritual. But, you know, time will tell them. They will eventually go back to the spiritual world, and they'll find themselves understanding that there is a spiritual world. There is the other side. So it will cause them a lot of confusion in the beginning, as we have seen sometimes on our Mondays. And but eventually they'll have to accept. So, you know, it's a reality, materialism, and we just have to do our part, and we will reach a common ground somewhere in the future. It may take some time, but we will reach a common ground. Okay, Daniela?
You know, but maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe I could be too harsh on scientists and science, but it doesn't get into my brain that scientists, they study natural things, they study nature, they study the humans, right? The human body and everything. And the way that Allan Kardec explains in this book how we are made, it's pretty much scientific, like just describing that we have a perispirit, that's matter, having we are spirits. To me, in my logic, it's part of our natural being, our natural existence in the world, in this world. But I wonder why that was connected to religion, or from the beginning, or at some point, because it seems that if you go back to the classics in ancient times, they were not so afraid of commenting on that and losing credibility, right? So Plato or Aristotle, I don't know how to say that in English, but the name, they didn't lose, they are high rank, right? Like philosophers and stuff, but
even
they
Charles
could talk
Darwin, right? Darwin, in the time of Kardec, he didn't lose any credibility because he was a very religious person.
And he, because the angle is through like scientific observation, or you can also say, do you think history is science? I'm asking you, do you think history is science?
No, science is part of history, but it's not one thing. History is not science.
But historians, they do look for evidence.
Yeah.
They look for patterns, and they look for repetitions. So they study the form of observation, and study is very scientific.
I agree.
So
science is part of history, but one is not the other.
It depends. Historians can be a type of scientists, but they're not studying human matter. They're not studying animals or plants or phenomena that can produce
Social
some
science.
results.
I think social science done more, right? Historians are, I think, scientists, not in a way of like, like the atom and the molecule and the neutrons, whatever, but in a way it's a social science, right? I think that's what you're trying to say.
It's inside that branch, right? So like geography, geographers, they're studying matter, right? They're studying Earth, geography. So I wonder when that got mixed up, and then scientists, if they look through that angle, they lose credibility. Like it became a religion, it became something out of nonsense, of like.
It started in 20th century, I think somewhere between the First World War and the Second World War, or around there, is when it started really being more completely separated, and it became more and more embarrassing, let's say, for scientists to admit any sort of spirituality. It's a more recent thing. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Anato. Natural philosophers, there were scientists called before 1833, and it was coined, the word scientist was coined by William Whewell in 1833. Before that, they were called natural philosophers. Yeah, you're right, Danny. In the end, but even historians, right? You have historians that are materialists also, right? So, yes, Anata.
Sorry, just adding. I think the religion has a very negative sense. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe it's because of the history of like the church and the Inquisition, and it's a blind faith. So I think that because of that, it's almost like impossible for scientists to kind of agree to that. right? And still you see a lot of, scientists, social scientists, like historians who are Catholic or who are, religious people. But I think like going back to the scientists, there are more like the lab guys, the real, the chemistries and physics, of the world. I think it's, as you said, I think it's almost like they have to say no to it, because to me, I mean, I think it's very negative.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And
I would have a hard time, believing like a scientist who actually is very religious, which is like, I know it doesn't make much, to what Daniela is saying to, it doesn't make much sense, but to me, it's just like, I would have a really, really hard time knowing that this person is super religious. So they're not doing their job. They're not really questioning.
It's the religion's fault, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of fault of the religion, right?
And
because
sorry, go ahead.
They religions with their dogmas, they prevent people from exploring different avenues, and that's why Spiritism is it's open to that, and Spiritism goes further. It says if science proves Spiritism wrong, you stay with science. So
Absolutely.
it opens the door for scientists to join, but so
And
you have some.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, that's a problem, not a problem. And the good thing is for those that missed Paulo Bispo's lecture last Saturday, was very scientific. It's even more scientific than Spiritist. And you see how you can have a scientist inside of Spiritism, and it works perfectly with us, right? But I agree with you. Religion is to blame also.
And Spiritism, and it's still very young, and it's still like, very limited in most parts of the world, and like it's big in Brazil, but we are not really known for a lot of science. Yeah, we have some scientists, but it's not like the US, that produces so much. So they don't, I think a lot of them probably don't even know Spiritism yet, so it's everything. It's like religion is, what we know as religions is blind faith, so that does not go with science at all. And I think when we define spirit, when people ask me, what's your religion? I don't like saying Spiritism, because it's much more than a religion, right? It's philosophy, it's science. So so I think it's, anyway, it's that's it.
Thanks. That's true. So, but we'll come back next week, because it's already time for us. So we'll start again next week with materialism, because I think we have something more to discuss here, for sure. Just for this Saturday, we have our friend Peter Hayes from the Spiritist Center Love and Light from Newark, that is going to talk about the book Action and Reaction by André Luiz. So for all those that really like André Luiz books, André Luiz collection, and Action and Reaction is the last book of the collection before And Life Goes On that we're doing in our book club. A very interesting book, and he's been doing a study in his group of the book, like we do with André Luiz books. We are studying the liberation, right? He's doing it action and reaction. So I'm sure it's going to be a very, very interesting lecture, very interesting discussion. Okay, so you're all invited this Saturday at 11 a.m. to the United States Spiritist Federation Facebook, YouTube, and the YouTube of the International Spiritist Council, TVSA. Okay. On the book club next week, it's going to be chapter 17 and 18, which is the last Wednesday of the book club, because then they'll have a break for summer break in July and August, and we'll be back on September 1st. Okay, so you still have time to catch up, read the book, and prepare for the continuation of the book when they come back on September 1st, but this Wednesday, which is June 30th, we still have the book club. Okay. This Sunday, which is the last Sunday of the month, we are going to have the Q&A session. So bring your questions, because a Q&A without Q doesn't work. And you know, me and Elmo, we said, if we don't have any questions, it'll be a very short meeting. I'm not going to be asking Elmo questions and vice versa, but well, maybe we will. Let's think about it, Elmo.
Yeah.
And also a reminder, we have the on June 10th, we have the Family Spiritist Retreat. It's June 10 and 11. It's open to all Spiritist centers in the US. There will be an in-person meeting in the Central Park here in New York. If you want more information, please check our email, check their website, which is familyspiritistretreat.org. July 10, I said June, right? July 10, thank Daniela. July 10 and July 11. So July 10 is part virtual, part presential, and July 11th is virtual, okay? But you'll find more information there. You need to register if you want to be part of it, okay? And I think that's it. Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. Thank you, John and Elmo. Infinite Creator, Spirit of Truth, the good spirits, we give thanks for the opportunity to be together, to be united, to share this class this evening, the Spirits book. We are discussing the Incarnation of Spirits, and we are learning that the Perispirit is in a different plane of existence. The body grows, the body develops. However, the spirit exists and is associated with the body. We are part of God's creation, and we are continuing to learn more about the specifics and the terminology that spiritists use. We are grateful to be together, and we give thanks to our spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the helpers, the healers who are guiding us and inspiring us each week. We give thanks for their goodness, for their care, for their love, and for guiding us each and every week. May we continue throughout the week with our prayers, with our studies, and with our mindfulness. And may we do the best to share what we can with others through our discernment. We are grateful, ever grateful for what we have learned and what we will continue to receive as we do our part. And as we close this portion of the meeting, may we receive the love and light and peace of Christ within us. And may we share this energy, this heightened awareness, this wisdom, and this love with others as we are able to do so. May we continue to be blessed and protected and go safely to our loved ones, family, friends, and our co-workers as well. And as we close, may we remind ourselves to be beacons of light. Go forth now in peace, so be it.